Season 2 of the Pat and JT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The best time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Parkville Network.
All right.
402-403-9478. Text, voicemail. It's Pat and JT everywhere else except MySpace. We don't have a MySpace, but you can get to us everywhere else. It's Pat and JT.
It's day umpteen of the quarantine.
Yes, day umpteen of the quarantine. And I'm already up to my quarantine 15.
Oh, man.
Yep, sorry.
Gosh, darn it.
It just is what it is.
Sorry. Well, now you got time to start to reverse things.
Yeah.
Or not.
I just want to have to put a belt back on again. That's all.
Why?
Just because.
Love the elastic. Embrace the elastic.
I don't have elastic.
Don't you have sweatpants
Although
on today?
the yoga pants, man, you chicks got it figured out.
I don't want to see that ever again.
It's comfy.
Okay.
Super comfy.
Guess who's on?
We have a good friend of ours via Skype from Nashville, Tim Halperin. Tim, what was your middle name again? We asked you already, right?
Yes. I think I told you it was Julius, but it's actually William.
Okay. Timothy Julius.
Another
Halperin.
lie.
Yeah,
That's
you
okay.
can call me Julius.
Yeah.
It's all right. If you're not lying to us, we don't believe you. Our whole relationship was based on a lie.
Right. You start telling us the truth. It's like,
I know. And I know now with the latest news, you probably won't believe me, but I actually did not lie to you about it this time. I didn't know about it last time I was on your show. It happened.
Whatever.
It happened last second.
This
The day before I flew out there was when I found out.
It's a big deal.
God.
It's a
All
really
right,
big
so
deal.
Yeah,
so the day before you came out here, you found out? So you did lie to us.
Yeah, no. No, the day before I flew out to LA, I found out.
Okay.
Man.
Okay. All right. So go ahead. Lay it on us. What's going on?
So I'm going to be on I'm actually going to be on the season premiere episode of Songland, which is about a week and a half.
It's a great show, man.
Crazy.
I love the first season, watched every episode.
What network's that on?
NBC, I think, right?
Yes, NBC.
And
Yep.
I've got almost every song that was created, the final result on my Apple Music. It's just great. I love that show.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm a fan of the show.
If somebody
as well.
didn't see it, like me, I didn't happen to watch it. What's the plot? Are you the killer or you to get killed?
The concept, it's great. It's I can't tell you anything now. You'll have to watch it. But the concept is
Here we go again.
there are 4 songwriters each episode. So what I've found out is each season, a bunch of songwriters submit songs to the show, and then they send around songs to each artist's team. So each episode, there's a different artist on the show. And so they send around the songs that have been submitted to those artist camps. And then those artist camps narrow down to 4 songs. And then so those 4 songwriters are the 4 contestants on each episode. And then over the course of the episode, the artist pairs down to their favorite 3 songs. Those 3 people work with one of the writer-producers that are on the panel for the show, and then the artist picks one of the songs to record at the end of the episode.
And these artists I don't know about this season. Is it the same panel of artists that were on last year? I know they rotated some in and out, but there were some staples.
Yes, yeah. So it's the same 3 this year. It's Ryan Tedder, who's lead singer of One Republic and has also written a bunch of pop smashes, and then
Could be a genius, potentially a genius.
He is a genius. He is one of, if I had a hero list, like he would be on it for sure.
Yeah.
Esther Dean is one of the 3, and she's written like a bunch of the Rihanna hits as well. She wrote Super Bass as well, a bunch of stuff. And then Shane McAnally is the 3rd person, and Shane is a country writer, and he's written a ton of country hits, like Body Like a Back Road is one of his, and he's written pretty much all the Casey Musgraves hits and a lot of her catalog as well.
Watching the first season of this, from the first episode of this show, I did not realize that writing a song was such, and it would make sense because people think that anytime somebody does something, it just happens, it's just luck, they just do it. But writing a song is such a science to it, and it's like surgery almost, dissecting these lyrics and putting them in the right spot at the certain spots of the song and what you need here and there. It fascinated me.
Yeah, it is interesting. For me, I love it because I think the show sort of lifts the curtain in front of songwriting, because so many people, when I say that I'm a songwriter, they don't really understand what that means. I mean, everyone knows that, that means I write songs, but really behind it, there's a whole lot that goes on. And I would say that this show is giving you a look into what it takes to write a song to get cut by a major artist. Not that all the other songs out there don't require as much surgery or precision, but I would say that at any given time on any of the major genre charts, there are certain things that work and certain things that don't work. And so this show is like, it's taking songs from people like me, because I've never written for another artist to cut. That's just not what I do usually. And so it's taking people like me, and then it's sort of applying some of those rules and taking them across the finish line. Some songs are like 90% there that end up on the show, and some songs take a lot more work than others, just being honest.
Yeah. Let me ask you this though: when you first started writing songs, how old were you when you think when you started you were going to write songs? Were you a little guy?
It was my sophomore year at Westside, so I was 15 or 16, and that's when I joined my first band and started writing my first songs.
Did you know what you were doing at that time, or was it more just you were like? I mean, I would imagine that about any kid that loves music has at one point or another written a song. I mean, I remember doing that when I was a kid. It's like I was not musically inclined whatsoever, but you try and put together some kind of a hook or something. You don't even know that's what you're doing, but you're trying to put together some kind of a song. And there's actually a science behind it. But how far, like when you started, who was your mentor? Who helped you and helped teach you new ideas and ways to do it?
Coldplay, The Script, Jason Mraz, John Mayer.
So you're just going by like reading their lyrics and then kind of learning how to put it together by that?
I think it's more so.
Or are you a poet?
So much of how we learn is is osmosis, I think, and I think the same way is with music. It's like anything else. You spend a ton of time sitting in it, being around it, and you just gradually get better at it, I think.
Because look at Taylor Swift. Like Taylor Swift, she was like, 9 when she started writing songs or something? I don't know, whatever it was.
Right.
But she's got her own little style, but it's solid.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said though for like the sophomore year of high school songs that I wrote. It's songs that I would never play right now.
Were they angsty?
Oh, they're all just about crushes essentially. But I still think that there's something to that. I think when you take that first step, I think that it really is the hardest step of being willing to say, okay, I'm going to write something and I'm going to share it with the world. I think when you're willing to take that step, I think that's the toughest part. And then from there, you'll just get better at it over time. I mean, it's the same thing with you guys when you decided, I really love radio, I really love broadcasting, I want to take the step and actually create something and put it in front of people. Because a lot of people might love radio or love morning shows, but or podcasts or whatever the medium is, but they don't take the step of actually doing it.
Well, and like with writing a song, like you were just talking about, dissecting it, and there's 15 different layers to every song, to every lyric, just like with doing a radio show, a podcast, a TV, whatever. But I think there's a science behind it to make it. If you make it look easy, that means you're putting work in behind the scenes,
right?
To make it all work.
Right. Yeah, and that's the funny thing too is like I'm sure Ryan Tedder, who's one of the panelists on the show, I'm sure he would tell you there have been songs that have just come out really quickly. I mean, ironically, the song that I'm going to present on the show is a song that I wrote with a co-writer in like 2.5 hours. So
that's
sometimes
once you know the
happens.
process, you don't have to physically in your mind think, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's just happened. And it's kind of funny when you mentioned starting in radio. I honest to God, you'd have to pay me a lot of money to let anybody hear that cassette tape of Jesse Taylor, which was my name.
Right. The equivalent of the sophomore songs written at Westside by Tim Halperin.
Isn't it funny? I was still JT at the time, too.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my first on-air gig. And I have a tape. I've never listened to it. That thing, the Memorex, it's going to go, and just be dust.
Good luck
and-
finding anything to play it on anyway.
That's true, right? Yeah, thank
you're
God.
safe.
Thank God.
So you're
but
safe.
I would just die if I had to listen to it, or if I let anybody listen to it, I would die. So I understand the sophomore songs that those are not going to get released.
Special place in your
Sure.
heart. Yeah. So when you when you're on there and you're pitching your song, right? I know you can't say much about it, and you've had experience. You've been on stage for years, and you were on American Idol, all this other stuff. Was there like a different level of anxiousness or nervousness, because this is more of you just not getting up there and singing? This is something you're pitching, something you wrote to other people who you respect so much more.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I had a lot of anxiety going into this experience because of my time on American Idol. And that was, 9 years ago when I was on Idol. And I still remember just the weight that I felt on my shoulders when I performed on American Idol, because for me, I was going, okay, I'm halfway through recording my first full-length album, and if I go out and screw up this 2-minute cover song on national TV, it could ruin my career before it really even starts. And so that was heavy, and then I did feel the weight of, millions of people were going to watch it. I felt that. This show, though, I will say this. It was different, I think, for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, from the moment I got out to film on Songland, I felt very loved and respected and cared for as a person. The executive producers, they told us that they want this show to feel like a love letter to songwriters. And they said, if there's anything you feel uncomfortable about, you let us know. We want nothing more than for you to feel great about how you look, how you sound.
That's awesome.
Maybe
you
a little
portrayed
different
everything.
feel from American Idol.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it just, in every way, it felt totally different from Idol, but also like felt redemptive for me from my Idol experience. Not that the Idol experience was awful. It was great. It allowed me to start doing what I do. But then also I've put in 9 years of playing shows and writing songs and working my tail off to do this. And I've done it for a living since Idol. And so I felt very prepared to be on this stage this time. And I mean, both times when I've been on Idol and when I was on Songland, I've never felt the need for prayer more in my life than those moments.
Really?
And so,
Yeah.
like those are really some of the only times that I've sent texts to friends of like, hey, will you pray? Will you send
Throw
up some
one up.
prayers for me or whatever you can do? I'd appreciate it. And I did just feel this complete peace when I walked out to perform this time, I think for all of those reasons. And so, I'm excited to see it when they air it on TV, because afterwards I remember feeling like I felt like it was a great performance. I felt like I sounded great. I felt great about all the things that were said, that kind of thing. And so, I'm excited to see how it comes across when they air it.
Do you get to spend a lot of time with the other contestants?
Yeah, you do. This show again is very different from Idol because you're just with there's 4 of you each episode, and so I was just with the other 3 writers for my episode the whole time, and so really got to know them, shared a lot of meals together, and also I just feel like we are all at very similar places in our career. It's not like this is our first rodeo. All of us had been writing songs for a long time to be able to get on a stage like this, and so I think we connected on a deep level.
And it's not
That's
those
cool.
idiots like that for Idol when you're auditioning for Idol.
No,
and you go in and
Sanjaya.
there's somebody,
Sanjaya,
and
Sanjaya.
somebody sitting in a bird costume, or a guy who's been singing, with monkeys
Right.
for, what I mean? These are legit people that have been working their tails off for years and have a legit craft. It's not just a hokey.
The
thing.
show is wanting, obviously, to have a level of respect as well,
Yep.
probably in the industry. American Idol did what it's supposed to do. I mean, that's what American Idol does. It's letting people come up and try it. But this is where they're putting people together. So you should feel really good being there, number one, and probably it is a different kind of pressure, but it's also got to feel a little more comfortable because you're a little more comfortable in your skin.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for saying that, JT. I think for me, a lot of people will ask me, would you do American Idol again, or would you do The Voice? And my response is always no, because I feel like if we take a step back and we sort of look at the arc of where I've been on this whole journey, I think for me to start out doing Idol and then 8 years later to do The Voice or to do America's Got Talent, that doesn't feel like the right storyline for me, especially when I feel like I've worked really, really hard and to be able to do this full time for as long as I have and sort of built up a resume. But I always say, no, I wouldn't do Idol or The Voice again, but the only show I would do is Songland, because I feel like it portrays me in the light that I want to be seen as, which is I've worked really hard and earned the right to compete at this stage where these songs that I've written are really great songs and to be contenders for a major artist. I think that feels like a great portrayal of where I'm at in my career and where I want to be.
Right. Does it scare you at all, the thought of somebody else doing one of your songs? Like, do you wonder, are they really going to get it? I mean, really, they didn't really pit that
like
line
my,
like
it's
I
my
wanted.
baby.
That's my baby.
Yeah, a little bit. I think I went into this experience feeling like I've got nothing to lose, because I have never, like I said, I've never pitched a song to another artist before, and I'd never written with those intentions, and I didn't write with those intentions for this song. It was a song I wrote for me, and so if to have another artist cut it, the thought in my mind is, going into it is like, man, that would be really cool, and I think it would maybe bring some new life to the song. But if it doesn't happen, it still is a really great look for me, and I'll feel great about it. And so
for sure.
I think that was kind of my mentality. And I think that also attributed to me just feeling pretty at ease walking onto that stage. I mean, I still had some nerves, but it just felt like, man, if this happens, how cool. And it opens up some new doors for me, especially being in Nashville. Where I can do some more writing for this purpose of maybe pitching to other artists. But even if it doesn't happen, those doors still could open. But also, it's been a long time since I've had a national spotlight kind of appearance like this, and so it felt good.
That's interesting, because it's like the whole songwriting thing is just a completely different avenue. And you think of like the likes of like the Dolly Partons, right? She's a songwriter, she's a singer, but then to have one of your top songs, "I Will Always Love You," and then it comes back and somebody does it, and she does even better with it when Whitney Houston releases it. And so I got to wonder if there isn't a little pang, because it's like,
I think the money makes it feel
I think
a little
the money soothes the pain a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's that there's that's her song, and she sang it like she sang it, and then Whitney sang it like she sang it. And it's like, well, what? I did
a tour with a couple guys, Dave Barnes and Matt Wirtz. But Dave Barnes wrote the song "God Gave Me You" that Blake Shelton cut.
Yes.
And made a #1. And I remember one night I was out in the crowd to watch their sets after I played, and Dave started playing "God Gave Me You," and someone turned to their boyfriend, girlfriend, and said, "Oh, he's playing that Blake Shelton song." And they had no idea that Dave wrote that song.
Yeah.
And it's just that was interesting. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool for me. It is interesting because, gosh, I mean, if Dave had heard that conversation, I wonder how he would feel.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like that little bit of. It's like, God, I don't know how to explain. Like when you're talking about being your kids, maybe you're teaching your kid the best you can to do something, but then they find somebody who teaches them even better. And it's like, well, they're succeeding, but damn it, I wish I could have been the one that taught them that.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say this. I remember walking off the stage of Idol when I got cut, and the thought going through my head was, I'm going to prove them wrong. And in that, I meant that I was going to write songs and perform them, but I was going to just work the hardest and write as many songs as I could. And so for me, this felt like, it sort of felt like the validation or the place that I wanted to get to of going, gosh, you know what, I have done that, and I've worked so hard, and this is sort of the proof of that. And so for me, it's kind of like, I don't know, that's kind of what it felt like. And even the thought of other artists singing my songs, I still feel like for me, for what I sort of set out to do, do I want to be the artist still? Yeah, of course. Like I'm still an artist and creating. But do I care if Justin Bieber sings one of my songs? No. Heck,
You know
no.
why? Because daddy's got a mortgage. That's why.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Interesting. First of all, love Old Dominion, and they're behind so many huge hits from a whole bunch of different genres. In their latest live show, they have a little set where they sing some of those songs. You just don't even realize it. But it was just a couple weeks ago in the beginning of March. John McLaughlin was here in town at the waiting room, and Striking Matches was open for them. And that, I had never heard of Striking Matches, but that in the middle of it, they're like, hey, we're going to sing a song that was actually performed, that we wrote, that was on the show Nashville. And it's a song that my wife loves the song, When the Right One Comes Along. And it's it's like, as soon as she heard it, she goes, oh my God, this is my favorite song from Nashville. I had no idea these guys wrote it. So Striking Matches, there were 30 people in the audience watching the show, and these guys wrote one of her favorite songs. It's just, it's cool. That's something, I don't know, it's hard to say because it's really cool. Something you put all your time and effort into. It gets purchased, it gets put on something huge, and a lot of people love it, but not everybody knows you did it.
Right.
There's a little satisfaction in that, I think.
Of them not knowing you did it?
Of them kind of not knowing you do it, yeah. I think so.
Oh, I don't know. I
think that's kind of like our conversation we had last time I was with you guys, because I've done a lot for TV and film as well.
Right.
And the more I do it, the older I get, the more I kind of enjoy flying off the radar a little bit. It's just easier to operate and do what I do, and I don't have to travel around the country as much playing shows to promote songs. And so that's interesting. But
That's
JT, do you feel like, would you feel differently about that?
I don't know. I'm thinking like a lot of actors, when they talk to actors, they'd rather be the character actor than be the leading man, because it gives you so much more flexibility. And you're always that, oh, I recognize that face. Who's that guy? Or he was in that movie, whatever. But it gives them the ability to still be anonymous and still live their life. And so I can understand that when you're at that level and you're starting to really fire on all all your pistons are firing.
It's
so to
fun.
speak.
It's fun. I think it'd be fun seeing your work appreciated by other people. For example,
watching from afar.
All we do every day is we produce podcasts for other people. So when you get compliments on something that you had a hand in writing, producing, all this other stuff, and it's helping somebody else get to where they want to be, it's like, that's awesome.
That's cool.
We don't need the accolades, don't need the, oh my God, it was just,
well, we need a little
you feel
bit.
good. No, we just need the money.
We need the money.
We just need the money. But it's like, it's really cool to know that you did that, something that is helping someone else, and they're making it a success. It's just kind of cool.
That is true.
That is good. Yeah, that's so true. It's funny how as you get older and as time goes on, you just, sometimes the way you feel about your craft changes, or the way you feel about how it's appreciated changes. So yeah, I love that. That's a great analogy too with what you guys do.
Do you have any work coming up in any TV?
That's what I was just going to ask too. Is
any like potato chip commercials or anything that we need to be looking for?
Any closing scenes? Anything like that we need to be listening for?
Funny enough, the next thing I have coming up is a video game trailer.
Cool.
For Apex Legends, which is it's a game similar to Fortnite. So
it's like, that is okay. I didn't even think about that, and I don't want to talk dollars here, but I know people do voiceover specifically for games, sound effects. You score music, trailers, and stuff like that. Is that as lucrative or close to it as TV?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's insane.
Video games are. I don't think we realize, especially if we're not 15 and playing Call of Duty. Like video games, the following is insane.
Right.
Yeah.
If you ever have looked at Twitch, that platform, where people they live stream them playing video games, and people make a living doing it because they make so much money on their streams, and it's another level. Video games is it's
got to be like, the music's got to be kind of a driving force behind the performance, because it's funny, like playing a game. Okay, we're not exactly gamers, but we play a little Toon Blast here, and
that's, oh my God, I'm going to delete that out of this podcast.
The reason why I'm going to say it, wait,
playing Toon Blast on your phone is being a gamer.
No, the reason why I'm saying this is because I play it muted, and Pat always says, you got to have some of the sound effects, because it's so much better if you can hear it. It's so much more satisfying when you hear the sound, have the sound on, and I play it muted. I really couldn't care less.
So does Beth.
But gamers do not play muted. That's what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah.
That's where I'm
No.
going. Is that it is?
Well,
it
you
is
know what?
surround
A
sound.
buddy of mine had the new Fortnite trailer, and then the song also played when you first started playing the new Fortnite. And Fortnite's one of the biggest games in the world.
Right.
And so I just looked it up, and that song has over 9 million streams on Spotify now. And
Lord.
so yeah, and then that's solely because of Fortnite.
That's huge.
So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, because they kind of immerse themselves in that stuff. That was
Yeah.
my point, Pat.
I know
was
that.
trying to
Oh my
show
God.
the
I just,
difference.
okay, I'm like, oh my God, you cannot.
Settle
I've
down.
learned this from my kids. You can't. It's in no. So now that now with this everything going on with COVID and the quarantining and everything, are you taking advantage of this time? First of all, how's the family doing with this quarantine?
Doing well. Yeah, we're due with our first child on May 5th, so it's a bit of an interesting time to
Yeah.
be having a baby. So, but ultimately we're doing well. Kylie and I are just being extra cautious, and we've pretty much just been home. And the last thing I would want is for her to get sick.
Sure.
Before having a baby.
Well, that's
and
somebody
so,
that said too. The hospitals. There's a friend of mine on Facebook, and she's due about the same time. And the right now the hospitals, at least the one that she's dealing with here locally, they were like one person can come with you,
Yep.
and be with you at this point. That
Yep.
hasn't changed yet. If it does change, it could.
Yeah.
And they're hoping
It
that they don't
could. I
have
mean, New
to.
York made it where no one could go with you.
Right.
Not even a husband.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Fortunately, we're not in
Right.
that dire of a circumstance here in Nashville, and I know you guys aren't either in Omaha. But So for now, I'm able to go with, and so we're both pretty laid back people. So we're not super nervous about it, but yeah, I mean, we're just trying to hunker
Yeah.
down.
It's
and
hard to get inspired to write stuff.
push-
You have
push through.
literally nothing else to
Yeah.
do. You could be writing your ass off right now. And is trying to hard to find inspiration?
Yes, it is. I've been sitting here today, and it is. I am just banging my head against the wall constantly. It's crazy. I mean, you would think it's kind of like the whole thing of someone who says, "Oh man, if I could just work from home," and then now those people are like, "I hate this.
Dang it.
I want to go to work.
Can't stand it."
Yeah.
It's the same thing where it's like, man, how great would it be to just have months to sit at home and write songs?
Uh-huh.
Well, but it's like, well, then where do I start?
Yeah. Right.
What do I write about? And I can't go do sessions. Like my normal thing here is I bounce around with different writer producers, and they produce the track, and we have a song by the end of the day. And I can't do that because no one's doing sessions with one another right now.
Yeah.
And so all I can do is sit at home and write by myself, and that's not much fun. So
No, it's
I
not
gotta
a
ask,
lot of fun.
have we ever hooked him up together with Rocket?
I don't think so. You remember Rocket in the Morning back in the day? He used to work here. He lives in Nashville. And
oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he's on with us every once in a while too.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the Nashville connection. It's like, wait a minute, those guys are probably like right down the street from each other,
More than likely.
more than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
Huh,
Is he doing radio, or what's he doing?
He's got a podcast on YouTube, channel, and
Yeah.
picking up, doing pretty well actually. He's
And he's a photographer, like a
Great photographer.
yeah, he's a great portrait photographer. He's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been doing that.
Nice.
He's been doing that his whole life. So yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
interesting.
Sweet. Well, Tim, thank you. We'll be watching on
bet.
the 13th, right? It's
on
the
the
13th. 13th.
It's the 13th.
Songland.
Yep.
and
9 p.m. Central is the time.
Perfect.
So I'm excited.
Man, we're
I
excited.
Good for
love chatting
you.
with you guys.
You
You guys have been
too.
with me since the beginning, and I appreciate it so much.
You got
We
it,
have,
buddy.
even though you lie to us all the time.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah. Keep the family safe and good luck. I can't
Yes.
wait to see the pictures after the 5th.
I appreciate it. Hey, we'll let's chat again after Songland airs.
Sounds
Yes.
good. Let's do it.
All right,
All right.
thanks, Guy.
Thanks, Tim.
Bye.
See you, buddy. Tim Halperin. Always awesome.
I know, that's great.
Okay, so all the links for everything, and we'll throw the trailer for Songland in the show notes and everything, and on our website.
Good deal, guys.
It's Pat and JT. Thanks for listening to our podcast.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Parkville Media Production.